Last week I launched the Sick and Tired Hotline. Why don't we see some real questions from real New Yorkers? Hi Scott, a lot of candidates talk about universal child care, but you don't? Why is that? Well, actually, I do. I have a comprehensive child care plan called Tri-Share Child Care. And that plan basically says, look, if you can't afford child care, you don't have to pay for it. And if you can afford it, you shouldn't pay more than 7% of your income on child care. That's a 50% savings, and I want to involve our business community to also make a contribution, because that means we can retain our workforce. People can actually have a work day, stay in the workforce, and at the same time make sure our kids are getting the early help and the early education they need. This is what's going to make our kids the best and the brightest that they've always been. But we need to help working families like yours. Well, here's one that's fun. If you had to have dinner with one of your competitors, who would it be and why? Well, it's too early to answer that question. But the dinner I'm going to have is the person who I think is the second best choice to be mayor, because this is a ranked choice voting system. So stay tuned. I'll let you know who I'm having dinner with. My 9-year-old heard me talking to my husband about the extended school day after I read that article in the Times. They were pissed. Are your kids mad at you too about the extended school day proposal? What do you tell them? Well, I got to admit, my youngest son, Miles, has rejected the idea, and he does not support it. But I'll tell you who supports it. My wife does, I do, because we have to make sure our kids have every opportunity to learn, to get tutored, to give kids the opportunity for athletics, to work more with our teachers and that school building that is so vital to our kids. So I know my sons probably don't endorse the idea, but they'll thank me when they graduate college. Whoa, why is trash always overflowing from nearly every garbage can? It's so gross. Stop it. I agree. You know, in my neighborhood, the trash is piled up almost 2 stories on any given day. And the rats, they're running around like they own the place. These rats come up to me at least once a day and say, hey, you really running for mayor? Can you beat Cuomo? I mean, enough is enough. We need a forward-thinking sanitation plan. We've been collecting garbage the same way for 100 years. It's time for change. We need shared containerization. We need to look at new developments and refigure how we can take garbage from chutes underground so that we give people a chance to avoid rats and the garbage on the streets. We need to look at composting and all that brings to our city. Look, I believe that we don't have to do it the old way. We can do it the new way. Mr. Stringer, my parents have been supporters forever, but this is the first election I'm going to be able to vote in. Why do they love you? And what do you bring to the table that's different from the rest of the field? Well, I'm really glad this is your first vote, and I really want you to make it count. But here's what I think I bring to the table. 30 years of real government experience, serving in the state legislature, serving as Manhattan Borough President. As controller, I was the chief fiscal officer of the city for 8 years. I believe people want someone who has experience, competence, but a vision for what this city can be. The aspirational city that means so much to me, my family, and to you. And as someone who grew up in this city with parents who were voting for a long time, I'm really glad that you're going to be able to cast your ballot for experience, for competence, and for a vision for what this city can be. Hi, Scott. I'm a 50-year-old dad who is really worried that my college-age kids will never be able to move back here. It's just too expensive. New York City was always a multi-generational city. What would you do to fix this? Well, 50-year-old dad, let me tell you something. I know how you're feeling. I've got 2 kids in middle school, and before you know it, I'm going to want them to stay near Elise and I. We're going to want to keep our kids here too. But let's be honest, it's getting harder and harder to make it in this city. And that's because we're not building enough affordable housing so that generations of New Yorkers can stay together. The greatest thing in the world is to raise our kids in this great cultural mecca called New York City. But you know what happens? The kids can't get the rent down, and that's why they leave. My affordability plan is to build Bichilama 2.0. Take city-owned lots that we, the people, own, and let not-for-profit organizations and developers who will get a fixed percentage of profit build the next generation of housing for our kids, for our seniors. This is something that I care passionately about because, like you, Dad, I got skin in the game. Thank you for sending in your questions and your ideas. Keep them coming. Text me at 646-601-5883. Thank you.